Alrighty, folks. Welcome to We Still Haven't Decided What to Call It podcast, or we might just call it that if it's not too convoluted, or we can just come up with something like which is too par for the course as Neil and my podcast or something like that. Nah, horrible idea. Forget I said that. So, anyway, here we are, facing the same predicament. We've come to the same crossroads all over again, which is breaking the ice and taking the plunge without absolutely bombing it, and yet we are. And saying that, we've hit the same stumbling block all over again because of our previous failed attempts, because of all the technical glitches, which I'm pretty sure Mayank would love to, fill you guys in on
Yeah,
it.
so we've already made an attempt to do a actually several attempts to make a podcast. We
Mm-hmm.
did this over a month ago and failed miserably, fucked up miserably at what we're doing right now because of our inability to do basic shit.
Basic shit, yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
we're very new to GarageBand, and that's
Yeah.
what we're recording this over right now. And we did not know to keep the audio recording going for longer, for as long as we decide to talk. And we ended up just setting a couple of bars, and we thought that it would be enough. And we were not sure if we were going to be able to talk that much, but we somehow managed to. And we could not calculate the time in our heads, and we just kept blathering, we just kept prattling, and we did not realize that this thing had stopped recording. And so that's why we could not upload it, although the phone mic was still up, recording it, but the quality was kind of so then we decided not to record it. And the sad part is that we ended up talking about a lot of interesting things which
Yeah.
were very relevant to then, and right now we're just not in that vibe, but we're trying to
Get back into
get
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we will try and recreate that, and we'll get to talking about all of those things. Hopefully, this time there won't be any fuck ups. So yeah, it's talking about taking the plunge, of breaking the ice, not just with, podcasts, but I face that difficulty with, pretty much all the aspects of my life. I'm always like blowing first impressions, no matter what it is that I'm trying to do. Even, sometimes even when
Hmm.
I'm playing live, like and I'm not talking about, playing like or
Hmm.
performing, but, doing introductions, or
Yeah.
introducing like, and I always prefer winging it, because if I've just mugged that shit and I'm not winging it, then I'm surely going to fuck up, I'm surely going to stutter and stammer, so I just have to wing
Yeah.
it, where the same things might, and I mean not just might, they definitely happen, but if I'm winging it, I can at least keep the flow, otherwise I will just I just end up making a big ass out of myself.
Yeah, for me, it is like getting comfortable to this,
Hmm.
hearing my own voice over a video, which is, I I get yucked out by that,
Hmm.
and I actually want to get that sorted out and go out of my comfort zone, basically,
Yeah.
hearing myself and seeing myself talk
Sorry.
about things.
Hmm. And that's why we're doing this. No, that's not the only reason. I mean, there's no
One of the reasons,
one
yeah.
of the reasons, yeah, maybe, but there's no other motive except for us having seen other people do the same shit, and it, you know, coming off as something very fun and interesting, and us wanting to give it a shot, and that's all you guys are witnessing right now. It's probably boring, stupefying for you right now, and if you have still somehow managed to make it up till here and you're willing to stick around, then you guys are very plucky. You have very really good forbearance, and I cannot commend you enough for that. But anyway, how about we tell them what we talked about in a last podcast that we could not upload.
Yeah, so we were back then a month ago. We were fresh off of a show,
Mm-hmm.
which was after like a lockdown and a pandemic. So it was a long time coming, that show, and we had that feeling of
We were on a bundle of nerves,
yeah,
you know.
bundle of nerves and
Like although we have been performing since like over a decade. I don't know if it's
Half a
been.
decade.
Yeah.
Half a decade for
For
me.
me, it's been like a little longer than that.
Mm.
Because we took that big break during the lockdown, and we were focusing on other things. I mean, which is
Yeah.
something that it also turned out to be very fecund and prolific. But because we took such a long break, a lot of things that for me personally, a lot of things that I had just stopped facing. I mean, I always, and I always have, and I always will get nervous. But the more you perform,
Yeah.
the better you process that nervousness, and you can tell, like when you're nervous
Mhm.
because you're doing something for the first time, or you're nervous when you're doing something, not just something that you know very well, but something that you've done over and over again, and that's how you know that thing very well.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're going to nail it. But then a little bit of excitement, a little bit of exuberance, and all of that kicks in, and then it just gets kind of like concocted and tossed along with nervousness, and it's that kind of nervousness. So from that, we went all the way back to feeling the first day nerves kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think you were about to say something.
Yeah, the discomfort of your of the first time versus the 20th time is like poles apart.
Yeah,
And like
it's more of a
somehow
feel
like
thingy.
yeah, somehow that those feelings came back.
Rushing back. Yeah.
Yeah, came rushing back
Mm-hmm.
after the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was all in all a good experience because, except for taking breaks, I mean, I think couples do that too, and yeah, like, for you to, bring back that same kind of excitement that you had, back in the day when things were just like all fresh and new.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're never going to be able to get there, because I mean, things have evolved, and that's a different kind of a good feeling. But for some people, it doesn't mean much. But like for you to get as close as you possibly can to that, you will have to like take a break, and you will start to, feel all butterflies in your stomach and tingly, and all of those things will start happening all over again. So it was kind of uncomfortable. I for me it did not affect my performance, but it was just an experience that I had to kind of force myself to cherish. I because it was a little. It put me through a minor inconvenience. Is what I'd like to put it as. What was
And
it for
also
you?
the feeling of what you were missing, like
Mm-hmm.
so, when something good gets taken away from you for a period of time, that's
Mm-hmm.
when you realize how important that thing was initially for you, like. So yeah, that was
That
the
happened to
positive
you,
thing.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah,
positive
for
thing.
me too. I. It's funny that you say that because for me, I did not have like a kind of like withdrawal symptoms kind of a thingy. Like
Mm-hmm.
although I went like totally cold turkey because of the pandemic and everything. But because of my approach or because of how hard I tried, selling, because I'm kind of claustrophobic, and when the pandemic happened, I was kind of locked inside. I had to just stay all locked inside a house which was all kind of like thronged and like crammed up, and I knew it was going to be very difficult for me if I don't prepare myself for it, and if I don't put in attempts and efforts to make this as much fun and as much interesting. So that's why I started making memes and I did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave myself a lot to look forward to not face any sort of withdrawal from all the things that I would have had to give up on, and that definitely helped a lot. That definitely came in more than just handy. But yeah, coming back to the point, I had almost forgotten how good it or how much I missed it. I had almost forgotten how good it felt, and it was a beautiful experience for me like that too. I got like reminded of
Mm-hmm.
something so beautiful that I almost stopped giving a fuck about.
For me, the pandemic was like, okay, I'm bombing.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
okay.
so for me,
I will too.
it
Sooner or
made me
later.
realize like
Mhm.
making music for your own self and not just for performance or like videos and stuff, like is
To get adulation
yeah,
from other
yeah,
people.
is a challenge in itself. And like
Mm-hmm.
to get back to why you, that actually makes you that made me get back to why I started playing initially, like to just to have fun in a room and not get out and not uh, take it outside the music that you
Make
make.
it more personal.
Yeah, make it more
Have a deeper and a more of a personal connection with your
yeah.
art form. Yeah, that happened with me too, because I got back to like composing.
Hmm.
I started writing, and a lot of creative and innovative stuff started happening. When I it was kind of like, like there are people like who practice meditation, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to people who are not into it, why they like vipassana, and there are like a
Hmm.
lot of practice. I'm not much into all of that, but the theory behind all of that is like taking away that comfort, taking you far afield from your comfort zone,
Hmm.
to make you maybe appreciate it better, or sometimes make you perform and function within that better, or make you open to more challenges and help you evolve. So
Exactly.
it was, and open, make you a little more open minded, open a lot of other realms and possibilities of this, maybe the same thing that you're doing, or just
Hmm.
introducing different things or different versions of the same thing to you. So yeah, that was again an awesome experience. Although yeah, it was like I said, not very comfortable initially, and then as I went along, I got very comfortable too. But I was a little jumpy and jittery initially. That did happen, which has almost stopped happening, or it
Especially
had
for a
stopped
person
happening.
like you, like you like to get out more and like like
Yeah,
be
yeah,
around people.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Even when I'm on stage, I'm jumping around,
yeah,
then I tumble and I don't care. I keep playing and I drop my pants and I swing my bulge around and I don't give a like. So from that, to being on like a bundle of nerves,
yeah.
yeah. So that was and that used to happen back in the day, and I got reminded of that.
Hmm.
So I'm not complaining entirely, and I partly kind of am, because it's not being nervous, in a way you can cherish that too, because when do you get nervous? When something remarkable, monumental is going to happen in your life. That's only when you get nervous, unless you have some syndrome, or you have some condition. So I look forward to being nervous, because I know that's right after me being nervous, and if I can process that nervousness, something really, I don't know, good or bad, mostly good, but something remarkable is going to happen that I'm not going to be able to forget, even when I'm lying on my deathbed. So I kind of look forward to that. But nervousness, like I said, with experience, you are able to process it better. With experience, you are also able to toss along all of these other things, like excitement and
Hmm.
exuberance and all the other things that I mentioned, and uh, uh, that definitely feels better than just being nervous. And nervousness is again like mostly associated with you also being a little anxious, and you being scared that you might fuck up, or it's maybe not a good idea. Like nervousness makes you hesitate, it makes you deter a little bit, which when nervousness is also tossed along with all the exhilaration and everything, doesn't happen. You're nervous because of those reasons, but then all the other things are kind of overpowering.
Yeah. It also affects for me personally, like my hands start shivering and
Hmm.
those things happen on the stage, like initially
Mm-hmm.
for the first 5 minutes or so. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens with me too. So that's why I, you know, uh, pick my script wisely. I make sure that the first couple of songs doesn't, the first couple of songs don't have, a lot of challenging stuff that I know I'm not going to be able to play in that state of
do you
mind.
have anything that helps you with that nerves when you or before you go on stage? Like, do you
I
prepare for that?
I don't like to practice backstage. That definitely helps because
How do you warm up? Like, do you ever? Do you,
I do warm. I just keep myself distracted, and like I said, I try to excite myself because instead of thinking about, you know, like instead of looking at the audience and getting scared or getting intimidated, or dithering, which is very hard to do. It's easier said than done, obviously. But instead of doing that, you know,
Mhm.
I just start fantasizing. I just look at people and I start, creating scenarios in my head like, oh, she's going to listen to that, me doing that, and it's going to blow her mind, and I cannot wait to do that. Oh my God, he like looks like someone who digs this, and I cannot wait to figure out how badly he digs it and how badly he's going to
Yeah,
henceforth
that's a
dig
good
me.
that's a good way to look at it.
Mhm.
Like in the end, it's about them. Like you're giving it to them,
Yeah,
whatever you.
exactly, and
Yeah,
that's why you get nervous.
yeah.
You know, no matter how hard the piece is, no matter how prepared you are, you're not going to get nervous. When nobody's watching or you're not being filmed or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And that happens. And with time, what you can manage to do is not let people figure out that you're getting nervous,
Mhm.
but you're still going to get nervous. I think everybody does, unless people are on some substance. And then too, I guess there are possibilities, or, they've done shit tons of gigs, but still, I don't know, I cannot imagine myself not getting nervous, you know. And yeah, I don't like practicing backstage because there can be a couple of things that I'm not very sure about, and that has happened in the past. Like there can be a couple of things that I'm not sure I can play, but in the heat of the moment, when I'm like fucking nailing it, I manage to do it, or I manage to just kind of get my way through it.
Mhm.
But if I practice it backstage and I figure out then all over again that, oh shit, this is still not happening, so then it's going to make me more nervous. Even with warm ups, So I don't like doing warm ups right before my performance. Right before my performance, I just try to keep things normal. Sometimes I also go out and just interact with my audience.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So that's how I try to, or otherwise I just let it all happen to me, and not bother much about it,
Mhm.
which is again easier said than done. And I, make sure that I keep reminding myself of this acknowledgement that I have, that, oh, I'm getting nervous, that means something really remarkable
Is
is
about
about
to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. But it was a fun gig, and we've been planning on playing again, but something or the other has been coming up, and butchering, all those plans. But I guess the Pink Floyd thingy is soon going to happen.
I hope January. It
January,
happens.
yeah, yeah. So what else? What else do you remember? What else we talked? We talked about a hell lot of things. We also talked about comedians. I don't know.
How did
Battery
we?
low.
We'll pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's okay.
Uh,
Stupid.
how did we get there? How did
Oh,
we
no,
get
no, no.
to
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
comedians?
We were on the same topic. We were on the same subject. Breaking the ice, or something on the lines of the same, and how some people can manage to make it look like they're winging it, although they're not. Although they have a script or maybe at least a few pointers.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that was more related to podcasts.
Yeah, we were talking about how
and getting more
different
comfortable. with
how
this.
different
Battery
comedians
What the fuck, man?
just turn that thing off.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we were talking about how different comedians perform, and like, for example, Louis C.K. is he 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 goes to his script, like he doesn't improvise much.
Yeah.
He's like a almost like a theater artist.
Yeah,
like
and
he performs
still it doesn't look like.
doesn't look like-
he's
like,
he has a script in his head.
Yeah.
Even with Bill Burr, it's the same
yeah.
thing.
But Bill Burr does go off on his own rants and like,
Yeah,
you know, like
mostly only when it comes to ranting, I guess. Because I've seen, like, it's it's kind of fascinating, like I see their acts, and I'm like, it looks like they're just winging it. It looks like they're just, having a conversation with the audience, like how two friends talk.
mm,
and it looks like they're just coming up with it abruptly, you know. But then here you watch the same performance all over again, like they're performing somewhere else, and it's the
Mm-hmm.
same script, you know. The jokes are the same, the puns, everything is just same, you know. That's when you realize that, oh fuck, they had a script running in their heads, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that somebody can, you know, play pretend that well, you know, like make things look so casual, you know.
Yeah.
Although, like, I can't do that, you know. If I have a script in my head, I'll, you know, sound like that second grader who's going to
Yeah.
read news for the assembly, you know. I sound like fucking okay Google or Siri, you know. I can't. I have to wing it. It's okay, like, and winging it has its own flaws, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are less flaws as far as winging it is concerned for me than, you know, speaking.
But for them, like the comedians, like their voice or whatever, the act is the chops that they have developed. Our
Mhm.
chops are on our instrument and not something like we do not practice
Mhm.
a speech or what we are going to say on the stage
Yeah.
or introduce a
Mhm.
song or whatever.
Yeah,
we
that's
we do
true.
not practice that.
Which I think we should. But
Yeah.
again, you know, the same thing. If I practice that, and if I'm not winging it, then I know for sure that I will fuck up, you know. So, yeah, and that has happened a couple of times when I've asked chicks out too, you know, like just, you know, uh, go take a tinkle and, you know, like maybe try and rehearse something. And when I go there, I'm just stuttering and stammering and just, you know, blowing away that first impression, you know, and just bombing it horribly. Or
Just like we are right now doing this. The
yeah,
exact
yeah.
same. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you know, it applies to, you know, a broader perspective. Right? It applies to a lot of scenarios. Yeah. So yeah, do you know Jimmy Carr or Jim Carr?
The Australian comedian.
I think he's English.
Mm. It's
He's
the same
very
guy
posh.
who's a storyteller.
No, that is
Oh, yeah, I know Jimmy Carr.
yeah, yeah, the one you're talking about is Jim Jeffries.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's very casual, you know, and I sometimes, because considering how drunk,
Jimmy Carr is the guy who's very good at crowd work and stuff.
yeah, and he's very posh, you know. So there, it's the other way around. It looks like some like, you know, the crowd work has to be like all spontaneous and abrupt, right?
Hmm.
But still, it looks like, because of the way he performs, you know, that it's all scripted. you know.
Yeah.
And Jim Jeffries, you know, sometimes I feel like, considering how drunk he is on stage or under whatsoever other
I have never
influence.
seen him not drunk.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's hard, even if there is a script here, it's hard to like follow that, you know. So I'm pretty sure he's a big time fan of winging it. I guess, you know, they keep some pointers, you know, and except for that, they don't like, I don't know. Maybe maybe they just improvise on those pointers, or maybe they.
Yeah, like jazz performers, like they have a form and everything.
Yeah.
And they improvise
Mhm.
over that. So it could be that for them.
Could just be that, yeah. So yeah, that's that. What else did we talk about? I'm having a hard time like
Recalling all those things. that we
recalling
talked
all of
about.
those things, or even coming up with something new, considering how boring and mundane and harrowing our lives have become lately.
We could just talk about today, like,
Oh, today was a hell lot of fun.
yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about the Christmas decoration part, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's funny, like, we're both atheists, and like,
Yeah.
we almost hate all the festivals and everything about them. You know, I mean, there are things that are very interesting about all of them.
Mhm.
But just the way people chaotically celebrate the festivals. And there's something about Chris. I don't believe in the stories, and I don't follow Christianity. I don't believe in all that shit. But
Mhm.
one thing Christians have somehow managed to nail is celebrating the festival in a way that it doesn't seem like it's the, end of the world. Like it's not in fact it's beautiful. Whether you're into all of that or you're not,
Yeah.
you'd still want to be a part of something.
Yeah, the vibe, the
The
atmosphere
vibe,
they
the
create
lights,
with
the
the lights.
music,
Yeah.
the songs, the carols. So, I read in one of the, atheist groups that I'm a part of on Facebook. Bugger asked, like, can I still celebrate festivals, or can I still celebrate Christmas, and can I still, be a part of, a celebration, no matter what festival it is, if
Mhm.
being an atheist. And there were some like really funny replies. Some people were like, no, 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 because you're enabling, and maybe we are, because these are the things that end up validating and also selling all the other things. This is kind of like a cover up. It's like a pretty cover for a
Mm.
book which is full of you know
But you are and you are
discombobulating.
not actually like.
I mean, yeah, in a way you're not like that. You'd be able to find flaws in like
Hmm.
pretty much everything.
Like for us, being an atheist means only one thing: there is no God,
Hmm.
and
It's
that's
just
it.
denying.
That's the whole. That's the definition. There is no cultism involved here. Like
Yeah, yeah,
there are rule
exactly.
book. There's a rule book we
Hmm.
need to follow to so that we come off as an atheist.
Yeah, there is
Like
no. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And it's not even, exactly there is no God. Like we won't agree with things that haven't been scientifically, or even, okay, maybe, where science not exactly fails, but, I don't know how else to put it, but like, the places where science, take for example, like when you're dealing with, setting moral grounds, or philosophy and a lot of other things,
Hmm.
like places that science just hasn't, gotten to, or science just doesn't deal with. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is, it's just denying everything that you cannot prove either scientifically, or rationally, or with logic and reason.
Yeah.
you know and when I say rationally, because again, rationality and logic and reasoning and all of these words, they've again, started being thrown around a lot in the spiritual community. And rationality is something which has become, subjective for people.
Yeah. It's not
So
supposed to be.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not supposed to be. So like when I say uh, things being proved rationally, I really like with extra emphasis on rationally, in its true form and in its
Yeah.
true sense. So I guess it's just that. But I totally forgot how we drifted here and what we were talking
You're
about.
talking about Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. So that's one thing, and I do like a lot of things, a couple of things about all the other festivals too, coming from different religions. But for some reason, this one tops all of them. I don't give a two shit flying fuck about the stories and the beliefs and this and that. But it's just the vibe they set, the ambience they create.
Yeah.
It's not just not annoying like it is with a lot of other festival. you know no, not just they don't create havoc. Just like in Gujarati we say Vikrut Anand. Like you know the term Vikrut Anand.
No.
Okay, so let's not get into all of that. Might get a little controversial. But not that it's not annoying, but it's in fact fun. It's they make everything so nice and pretty, and I like Christmas for non-religious reasons.
Good way to put it.
Just like how I like uh, NoFap for the reasons why people don't generally practice that thing.
And those reasons are.
Like people are into this NoFap thingy, you know for whatever reasons. Like some people believe that total bullshit, like you can store the semen and it goes upward, it starts, like it overflows, and then if it doesn't come out from here, then it starts going upwards and it'll provide more nutrition to your brain. Literally people say that. I'm not shitting you. There are podcasts one of the famous, two of the famous YouTubers, um, Abhi from Abhi and New, I guess, I don't know, I think his name is Abhi, and then FitTuber, whatever his name is, they just go on and on about this thing, and like, it's all been figured out, it's all been proved, and they say that there are these three scientists who proved it, that semen travels upwards if you don't masturbate. So yeah, some people don't do that for that reason. Then there are some people who don't do it for, I don't know, whatever reason. I've never really cared to look into it much. But I don't do it so that, then if I've taken a little break, and then finally when I get to it,
Mm.
it just feels mind blowing. Again, kind of getting back to
Again,
square
like,
one,
yes.
So I'm in support of no fap personally for fap related reasons, and no practicing that for a brief period of time.
Would you want to take a break performing like we did? It wasn't in our hands, but we had to, like, would you
If
go back
it's
to that?
if it's up to me, then no. But if it happens, then I know it's not a bad thing, and I know how to handle it, how to take care of it. Let's make
Mhm.
sure it's still recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if it's entirely up to me, then never, But then, considering the kind of place, the sapless place that we live in, we don't
Mhm.
get to have a say unless we give in to the mainstream and
Which
commercial.
is not going to
Sure.
happen for me.
Yeah, I have tried and I still keep trying on and off. Sometimes it's for bingo, sometimes it's for just have taking care of the urge to be up there on stage. It's funny, one of my friends recently, he's into like really, he has a very good taste in movies, and I figured that I called him and he's like, I'm going to watch Surya Vansham or Surya Vanshi or whatever that movie
The
is.
new one.
Yeah.
Akshay Kumar.
Yeah. And I've heard horrible reviews. I haven't even dared to watch the trailer, considering the genuine people those reviews were coming from. And he's not the kind of a guy who's into those kind of movies. And I figured that I called him and he's like, I'm watching this movie, I'm in the theater, I've come to watch this movie. And like, what the fuck, bro? And not that I was judging him, but it just it kind of wounded me,
It was hard for you to fit him in that environment.
Yeah, exactly. It was it was a, what do you call it? Two in the pink and one in the stink. It was a shocker for me. Like what's the word for it? It whammied me. And then he's like, no, I don't care about the movie, but it's just been so long since I've last, come to a theater to watch a movie, and I'm here for that feel. I might probably just fall asleep. I'm here more for the popcorn. I'm here more for that carpet
Okay, yeah.
smell,
Mhm.
So that has happened with performing in my
Yeah,
case a
like
couple of times.
the reason why I said it wouldn't happen for me because I don't
Sorry.
think I am versatile enough to pull that off.
Mhm.
And that's different for you, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be, and I kind of had to be, while trying to figure out what I want to do. I mean, it's a good thing for you that, you, before, drifting here and there, without having to, give all the genres a shot. Not just, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have, listening wise, but like getting impressed by all of them, and having your moments when you're like, oh, I want to be a jazzman, or like I want to be a bluesman, and I want to be a rocker. You could skip that, or maybe a little bit of that happened, but then you finally followed your calling and you found your calling.
Yeah.
You figured that
Yeah,
this is
the calling thing, and I realized very early that
Mhm.
it's going to take a lot just to master one thing. Like I want to
Mhm.
master it. I don't want to like
Mhm.
I don't want to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
It's not me to be that.
Yeah, but see, for me, I never wanted to be jack of all trades. It's just that, like if I'm listening, I don't know, I would have gotten into, let's say, I'll give you a scenario. I'm super into rock, okay? And then
Mhm.
somehow leads me to metal. And I'm, I'm, I'm convinced that I want to be a rocker,
Mhm.
And then somehow it leads me to maybe metal or blues or something like that. And then I start digging that, and all of a sudden, my relationship with rock gets kind of shabby and
Yeah,
shady.
but it's understandable for you because those things come from the same world
Yeah,
itself.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like
But then
blues,
what
rock.
explains me getting into classical and me getting into gypsy jazz and me? So it's like, I that's what I guess serves versatility at times, and that's what can also be very unsettling.
I remember you wanting to switch to a gypsy style playing, and you wanting to buy a gypsy guitar,
Yeah, it still
and
hasn't happened. Yeah.
which still hasn't happened. But yeah, I
Mhm.
wanted to ask, why did you stop chasing that route?
Because I figured that I don't want to be a gypsy jazz musician. There are like a lot of things about gypsy jazz
Hmm.
that I'm absolutely crazy about. I fucking love those things. But then I would not want to like limit myself to that, you know. And I don't know. I guess John Mayer said, sorry, bad Bob. John Mayer, I guess it was John Mayer. He said it in one of his workshops. That when you fail to do something which is very difficult for you and you've sweated over it for years or for months or for however long, when you fail to do it and still you don't give up on it, but you know for sure you're not going to be able to, you know, or because maybe you're time poor or for whatever reasons, but you still want to do that. So that's when you bring in a little innovation. That's when you bring in a little creativity. That's when you
Hmm.
try and bring in that you element. I mean, I'm not being able to do this like how it's supposed to be done, but I still want to do it. So I will find a way to
Make it
make
work
the
in
ends
your
meet.
style.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
then for me it's not that I started failing to do it,
Hmm. But
but
you stumbled upon a creative block or something
no,
like
no, no.
that.
It's the opposite of that.
Hmm.
Like to develop that gypsy technique, you have to do a lot of technical exercises, and
Hmm.
then you have to learn the arpeggi because it's mostly arpeggio based.
Hmm.
You have to learn all the fancy chords, which were very convenient for Django considering his
Hmm.
condition. And you also have to learn to play. There are different ways to different inversions, voicings, but you have to play them like that. Then and only then you'll get that sound. You know. So for me to get super into gypsy jazz, and be like a proper gypsy jazz musician, I would have had to do that, like focus more on technique
Hmm.
initially, and then of course,
Yeah.
the musicality and theory and all of that kind of tags along you know. So getting the technique right was something that I was struggling very much with. But on the alongside, the moment I started peeping just a little bit into the musical and the theoretical side of it, I just could not stick to just practicing and getting it right in that gypsy manner. You
Hmm.
know, it made me want to use like I would learn one arpeggio, and in gypsy jazz it's played maybe super fast or maybe in a certain manner, and I'm like, no, 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 but this arpeggio definitely has more potential. And to keep things authentic, there are also what do you call them? Uh, Blanking on the word. There are also fuck. So there is Angelo Debar, there is
Hmm.
Rosenberg. So some players are like, super, Simon Pure, or there's some players, who just stick to, the authentic gypsy technique, and then there
Hmm.
are contemporary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are some contemporary players too, you know, who do a lot with like Frank Vignola, and there are like a lot of contemporary players, who
Hmm.
manage to do quite a lot with that genre, and they don't just stick to to its authenticity, and that's where I started kind of going. But then, like I said, gypsy jazz again led me to a lot of other things, and then I drifted from that too. So it's also partly
So
that.
for you, it's like branching out to new avenues.
Yeah, branching out, and like if I see whatever I'm learning, it's been presented in a certain, it's been told that you should do it like this, but if I would want to sit with it and figure out what more potential it has, you
Hmm.
know So then it's hard to, stay very strictly, you know, authentic and, like very true to the genre, and, it's difficult, to pull that sort of a deal off.
Hmm.
So that's why I decided, like, for the time, and I just right now when I'm talking about it is when I'm realizing, that's why I'm kind of struggling to, is when I'm realizing
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things, it just, for me, it just happened. I did not realize it was happening, but because you brought it up, I'm like, yeah, shit, I wanted to do all of that. What happened then? But I guess this is what happened. And if I brood a little more over it, then I'm pretty sure I will figure out what else and what more could have happened. So I think I might get back to it, or maybe I will get to a totally new thing.
You are already in a total new thing, as far as I'm concerned. Those solo acoustic instrumental pieces
Instrumental,
that
yeah,
you've
yeah,
come
yeah,
up
yeah.
with,
Hmm.
I think they are pretty new to you.
Yeah, yeah, that's not a kind of a style that I was even very
Like
familiar
changing
with.
the tuning. And
Yeah, doing
yeah.
all of that. Then, like right now, finally, I'm pouring all that I have gathered, into my songs. I'm finally being able to, use all that versatility, not just to like show off, but like, making it all come together and create this nice harmony. Like, I like a lot of layering, which is something that comes from, I think you're getting some notification. I hope it's not
No, that's
that
fine.
your battery's okay.
No.
So, yeah, the layering, which happens a lot in classical, you know,
Mm-hmm.
playing counter lines, making it sound like fugue, just taking elements, it won't sound fugue,
Mm.
it might sound fuguish, but it won't be a fugue at all. Then, using all those jazzy chords,
Mm.
but then also, compromising on showing off your skills, showcasing your skills, and, focusing more on coming off as a really good player, to
Mm.
make sure that, you uh, make really nice melodies that conveys the theme. If is not going to do it, then don't do it, just because it can make you
Mm.
look like a better player, or if that's the only thing that's going to do it, then go all ahead, so that is something, that
You're learning to balance.
exactly, that's something that I had been learning, considering, uh, how uh, you know how far sunk and absorbed I was into, all the shredding and,
Mm.
being that crazy performer, which I still there deep, deep inside, deep within,
Yeah, with the right context,
yeah,
it can come out.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I remember there was this one time when that's all I would want to just fucking, you know, shred, just fucking rip the stage to shreds. I would just want to go. And you've performed with me, and you've also
Yeah. Yeah.
seen those freakouts, and you've also seen those, crazy performances. But then, that after a point, it was less about music, and it was more about creating that experience, and more about, being that, and, feeling liberated and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
which is the case with most performers, which are known for their crazy acts, like Morrison, or take Nirvana for example, or who else do we have? Axl Rose, or I don't know, but like we saw in that movie, like after a point, if you're a musician, you get kind of sick of that. I'm talking about the movie The Dirt, Motley Crue.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
like finally, we were done with all of that, and we made Theater of Pain. Like we finally, made an album which was, musically very, not that all the other ones weren't good, but, the focus was more on music there, and musically very profound, not just good.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, right? What else? I think that's about it. How long has it been? It's been about
30 minutes, I guess.
it's
I don't
been
know.
about 44 minutes,
Oh,
I
wow.
guess. Yeah. So those who could stick around, again, I cannot commend you enough. You're very plucky, you're very forbearant. I have to salute.
Or
Hmm?
there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, that's more likely than what I said, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if we're going to be able to be consistent with this thing. I don't even know if we will upload it. In that case, why am I
We'll
even
see,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah, but but
We'll have a peek and
yeah.
then decide.
Yeah, but the plan is to stay consistent and to at least upload one podcast in 2 weeks or something like that. Or maybe if we get a better grip, better hang. Sorry,
Yeah.
another bad pop. It's that fucking wine that I kind of. So my tummy was like super gippy, and I was asked not to, you know, uh, drink alcohol, and still I could not withhold the temptation, and I ended up kind of not exactly skunking out.
So it's troubling you right now.
Yeah, I am just getting a little gassy because of that, or it could just be the
Mhm.
gippy tummy, and the wine actually did not do much there. But anyway, before we again drift, because otherwise I just won't stop prattling.
Hmm.
I think we should end it.
Yeah.
Yeah. See ya, folks.